husband has been playing ukulele since he was 15. So, more than half of his life, right? And I never took to it, I cannot even play, I couldn't play the ukulele. It's a different story now.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't strum, can't keep beat. And it's like, I'm not going to even try, right? Because there's no point if I don't sound good. But I knew how passionate this was for him. And so I took the initiative and taught myself just a little bit, but he's been helping out as well, because obviously he's an ukulele instructor. And it's grown on me in the sense of, I know he's passionate about it, so I make it myself passionate about it. And he does the same thing for me as well. So it goes back, even if you're not, you never know if you don't actually try it, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely a learning curve for me. Not wanting to do something and then totally doing a 180 and just doing it. Another thing I can think of where definitely out of my comfort zone is my like a social bug. I would never do this event. I know that for sure prior to my business. But for my husband and I, just being on more social media and getting out in that network has had boosted our confidence up so much. And it's allowed us to open up more doors, not only for us and my family, but just so many other people, because now we give them the opportunity and the motivation and inspiration to do more, because they have so much to do more in their life. They just don't know, and they need just a little spark to just get them started. So we love that right now in this season of our life, and we're so excited to see what else there is in this future.
Absolutely, to reimagine like what is possible when we just give ourselves permission to say, yes, or I can try that, or there is an opportunity here that I could, grow from. So I love that. And, we talked about this a little bit, but you guys have been through seasons, of course, as you started out in, the 7th grade, and then your senior year, and then careers. And what has worked well and what hasn't worked well as you have learned to communicate through different seasons of marriage and really different seasons of maturity.
Right. That's really good. And there's one actual thing that has just been pretty much it, and it's communication. And it's funny that you asked that question too, because during our premarital counseling, we had one session of that before we got married. Our pastor basically said, if you take anything away from this, it's going to be communication. You need to have communication with your other half. I don't care if you're mad at them, you need to come to an agreement to something. And I think everybody battles it for sure. I still feel like I'm growing through it, like just being able to be open 100%. And talk about anything under the sun, right? But that's where also trust comes into play too. You have to be able to trust your partner. This is your life partner that you're doing everything with, right? You basically put your life in their hands, and just being able to stay open and communicating about anything that comes to your mind and feeling comfortable about it is going to be very important. As far as, how would you say it? Being mature about your marriage is probably the best way I can say. Finances was another thing too. We have great jobs, so it's not really an issue, but I did, and I kind of still do have a shopping habit, which is one of the reasons why I joined my business, to help curb some of that shopping, because I can shop at the wholesale price now. But me joining the business has also helped me keep grounded, right? Because now it's not a hobby anymore. It's shopping to be able to sell jewelry for a business standpoint. So finances have always crossed our mind, because we always want to make sure that we're stable for our future and for our kids as well, right? So that has always been, I think, a hardship, which is kind of common throughout any marriage. But it's worked well where we talk about it. Like, where are you at with your finances? You have credit card debt right now. Just be open. And it's still difficult for me, to be honest. It is. The way I want to run my business is the way I want to run my business. But and I'm just being open. But I do have to realize that my husband does play a big part in this, and the way I spend for my business does affect myself and my family. So that's always in my mind, and constant communication with your other half is always going to help you kind of weed it out. And then you're always being truthful to the matter. It's an open book. I don't have to hide anything from him or her about it. So
I love that you said that. That's an issue that, like you said, is is so common. We all have to do with the finances of our families and within our marriages. And if we didn't learn to communicate it with confidence as a child, or, there's so many different factors that play into how we communicate about finances. So I love that you just said, like, starting with being totally honest with where you're at. And that's definitely an area that I'm growing into, and realizing that if you're working together, there's not you have to come with it all figured out, or you have to come with a solid plan. You can come and say, hey, like, I'm having this issue. I don't know how to, manage this set of finances. Like, let's talk about it. Even just being willing to start the conversation.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's I like get all nervous talking about money, even in general, like, and as a business owner, there's a whole new level of talking about money and getting and knowing your numbers and being comfortable enough to just like address it. And so I love that you said that. It affects our marriage a lot, being able to, to communicate about it. So as you guys have journeyed through, what non-negotiables have helped you to build spiritual, relational, physical stamina as you guys have journeyed, through the last 15 years together?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We've gone to church, as I talked about, keeping Jesus at the center of it all. So yeah, Jesus is our true foundation. I honestly don't think we actually would be together if we didn't even have that in common. So I am happy and proud to say that, keeping Jesus at the center of it all is like our spiritual foundation that is critical in a marriage. And if your faith isn't that, right, it's finding that common thing that is, because I've seen it, heard it. It is a battle when you have people that have differences in that aspect. But yeah, so we have that. The physical stamina, it's keeping that fire in the bedroom. And I don't want to get too technical, but it really is being like that. Like, there's always going to be that sexual desire that people have, and you have to feel it, right? Or they're going to try to go out and get something else. So I would just recommend, just having, even if it's set days or whenever you can, just do it, and play some music if that might help spice it up, which it does for us.
Totally. We have a playlist.
Just keep it exciting and keeping it stay engaged with your partner, because there might be times where it's like, I'm just not feeling it. And that's okay, but you have to realize that your partner, he or she might not feel okay. So it's talking it out again, right?
Again, communication. Yes.
Right.
And learning to have words to those feelings and, and those needs and desires is something that I've talked with multiple, you'll hear it throughout the summit with multiple speakers, beginning the conversations. How do you put words to those, to that sexual feeling? Is it arousal? Is it, is it pain? What is happening here? How do I communicate it? And again, starting in that honest space of, okay, I'm here. I love you. I'm committed. And I love that you said scheduling it out, because I have been a big advocate for the fact that there is nothing, that planning doesn't make sex any less sexier. If there are seasons where you need to mark it on the calendar, and there's seasons, even if it's because there's a gray area with what's actually happening or the frequency, you can live in the same house, you can be in the same space, and one person is thinking that it's going great and the other person is thinking that, oh my gosh, we need some help. And if you don't have that out in black and white on a calendar, or again, that open, honest communication, then that you might not ever get out of that gray area. So
no, that's really good. And our lives, meaning anybody's lives, having to juggle different things, so it's really just like, when you have the chance, just go. People have kids, people have careers, full-time jobs, going to school, right, helping family out, right, could be for medical and all that stuff. So you're just busy, and one of the relational things that has also helped us out as well is date nights, and sometimes we don't get all of that right with the kids and stuff like that, but we'll go together as a family. But having that alone time is very important too, because then it just allows you guys to just de-stress and just talk about life itself, doing a little catch up. Sometimes Larry and I, our schedules are just too crazy, can barely even get a simple answer on like, oh, I gotta take Buddy to the dental appointment or something. It's just, life is just busy, but you have to make the time for it. If you really want it to work, you have to make the time for it. So definitely date nights, those are very key for us. That is non-negotiable. We don't have set date nights, but anytime we have free time, we will go on a date night. So